involve maps and things like that. Just to it's almost like building a sentence to get to the point, right? So I'm going to go through these real quickly, and then we'll get to the maps that we introduced them in one of the tribes classes that show the issues with the planetary rod and chamber and what has happened over since the 550 million years ago when Terra did fall and this Amente rescue mission was set in motion. So once we look at those, we can start to understand where the Shield of Solomon is, and we can start to see where the lighthouses are and the sentinels, and of course the watchtower we know is in that Pine Island region of Florida. So we can start to see where what is and start to get an idea of where the primary safe spots are. But there's going to be a lot more in with that. As we progressively bring these grids into activation, the safe zone maps will change, and there will get more safe zones will emerge on them. Now, a safe zone, just so you know, we've described, and the beloveds have described for us what they do, what they are capable of, right? They are a shield area. They have a shield of Avios that has the ability to activate the unigenetic underlay in order to go into the Shadi Edonic state for the transmutation up into the next density levels. We've got that far, but there's a lot more actually to understand about what these sites are and what they do. And if we can at least get the basics of understanding the situation the planet is actually in. We've covered this before. We've had, especially for people who've not seen the string of work, that's why this first set of diagrams will lead up to those maps where we can look at the safe zone areas and where they fit and what that has to do with the horizontal rod and the front-back horizontal chamber of the planet. One of the most important things in those maps will be seeing where we've talked about the transcendental passage and where it is in relation to our bodies. It's when we lay ourselves down horizontally, right? Then our heads are aligned with it, right? We actually line up with it. It's the part of the Calloway chamber that goes out the back side. And it's actually the past, that's where you have the 6 directions, where you have up and down, left and right, future and past, the past we came out of. Because that is actually when we're going into the God Self state and beyond, we're going back to the hub or the bud that we originally came out of. So it is a movement through the past. And just like our bodies have the Bardo chamber, and around the Bardo chamber opens the transcendental passage that we go through for slide, the planet has one too. And we'll see on the maps where that opens, and then begin to see where the safe zone primary areas are and that kind of thing. As far as the safe zone maps, I'm still working on one that will take this primary information, and there'll probably be a little bit more given, or at least it will be put more neatly on the one I'm still working on that I will get done for tomorrow, so you can have a copy of it before you go. So you will get a copy of the latest level of the safe zone map that we have available before you leave, so you have an idea. Okay, this one, and this is the fast run through. I'm going to do this quickly. I'm not going to read the little words all over the pages. This is just to remind us of when we started in the Amsterdam workshop. We covered this stuff intensively. We showed where in the cosmic these are the bones, right? That implies that there is the cosmic Lumeridana spirit body with all the little ones in between. We got cosmic levels, and you got universal levels, and you got galactic levels, and you got density levels inside of those. We are down here in this position in the cosmic one. I'm not even going to get into trying to read the tiny print anymore because I'm tired too, and I want to have enough oomph left to do the technique tonight. But we're down here in this system. All right, this is what our system looks like. You'll see the next graphs look like this, and I just want to point out something on those. But we are over in, where's the arrow? I believe over here. That is us. All right, there. Now, when you look at the next one, all right, this is just the cosmic level. It's just giving you an idea of where. When we talk about the black hole systems, there are ones over in this matrix that are the WISAs, and there's the Borgia one that is our, I think this one is ours. Actually, this is ours here. That's the arrow. There it is. And this one is our, is I believe the Borgia matrix. It was the first fallen one. So we've covered all of this before, just explaining where this problem on Earth came from, because it's not just an Earth problem. Next one, please. This is just to show, this is an enlargement of that little tiny one that was showing where we were in the cosmos. We're looking at our galactic level now. This Cathara grid represents the structure of the one on the vertical of the M31 Andromeda galaxy. That was originally our natural particle universe that our galaxy was a part of, our universal Cathara grid. And the Milky Way galaxy, through using these black hole technologies by groups that became called the Proceacs, has actually been pulled out of tilt and off center with the Andromeda galaxy, and that calculates into light years away. I think it's about 2.5 million light years or something like that between these two galaxies. We are in the Milky Way. It's on this tilt. The one thing that still connects us to home is in the Milky Way, the planetary, not planetary, but the Stargate number 3, the Cathara Center 3. This has always been a connection point, that it's always been this kind of the last call. If this was going to fall and we couldn't pull it back into alignment, that was the place where you could still get back home, where the ascension passages could still be open. In the Stargate 3 set, you have you have on this level Eartha 3, which is an M31. It is an Andromeda. Then you have the interfaces of the Aquarial matrix and what's called Shala 3. Then you have another layer of it that is Ashayana. Ashayana 3 was the original star before Earth was hosted into this system with the 550 million years ago with the fall of Terra. Ashayana 3 was the star that held that position and still does in the Milky Way, connects the Milky Way in to M31, into the Andromeda galaxy. And inside Ashayana is where Ashayana was the host star for Amente Earth. And Amente Earth then went through several stages of damage to the grids that ended up splitting its quantum into 3 different areas. 1/3 stayed in the natural alignment with Ashayana and the ascension passages of M31, and that part is called median Earth, and that is ascension Earth that we talk about. 1/3 of the quantum ended up in what was called blend Earth. Half of that, which would be 1/6 of the quantum, is net Earth, and the other 6 of that quantum of blend Earth is caduceus Earth. And then another 1/3 of the entire quantum of the Amente Earth went into phantom Earth fall. All right, so we are literally still in a blended matrix, a blended Earth, and right now the falls are pulling. They are going to be separated. It's not just on this planet, though. This entire structure is going to be cut loose, and these gates are going to close on the Earth level, and that in 222 years. So whatever can get out now in the next 222 years from this Milky Way galaxy will still be able to do ascension passage. What can't get out is going to have 2 options. One is sovereign crystfall under the directorate of the Budhara, who are a sovereign crystfall matrix. They will host the greens mainly in their sovereign fall. And if they don't, the Proceacs, which are the ones that control the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, they will be taking over the entire set. We are going to get out of here because the Greens agreed and did the Treaty of Avignon. We have more time left here to share with the Greens. We will help them to get their sovereign fall security. They turned the grids over to us, so the Proceacs and the red and white dragons didn't get them from them because they were going to. And so we will help the Greens to the degree that we can. The Budhara are actually going to be the ones that are going to be the ones that stay with the green dragon folk when they go into sovereign fall, and our job is to get as many people that are still ascension possible and able out through into median Earth, and then we will move those who can. There'll be an evolution for a bit on median Earth until the codes are up, and then we can go up to Ashayana, and eventually we can go all the way home to the Andromeda system, to M31 and Eartha. So this is the larger drama that we're all part of. Next one, please. This is just showing the mess of the Proceac system and how it's compromised the grids. I'm not even going to analyze that, but again, this is the Andromeda one on the vertical. This is Milky Way on the tilt with its off-center, and that is the black hole, the center of the Milky Way galaxy. These are all different stars that are actually connected in with the Proceac matrix. This matrix is connected into the black hole systems over in the WISA matrix that I briefly pointed out in that larger Cathara grid when I said we're this little guy down here and there's some black holes over there. So it's a huge drama. We're in the middle of it, and nobody knows. That's what's so amazing. Nobody has a clue. Science does know, we have a black hole. We appear to have a black hole at the center of our galaxy. It must be a natural thing. No. it isn't, but it is there. Yes, it is. So this is the larger drama. Next one, please. We've gone through many teachings that taught about how solar systems are supposed to be structured, how Merkabas of a planet and the Cathargrids are supposed to be around a natural occurring planet. We see the natural flows of the Yanyan flows when the electromagnetics of a planet are normal. We've seen the natural lotus configurations of phase arcs that allow for the living, breathing systems. We are no longer in a solar system like this. We are in a solar system that is falling just like our galaxy. So that which can get out at the moment, and Earth is like the hot spot to be because of its connection through the median Earth, through Ashayana, through Shala, through into M31. Because it is one of the few that have a direct, it is the only one that has a direct hub link, like directly through. So we don't have this structure anymore in this system, and this system won't have this structure. But the places we are going to do have the natural structure of living solar systems and living planetary systems. Next one, please. This one is showing, this is what it's supposed to be with the nice arcs between where if you have a central sun and all the planets orbiting around it, there's supposed to be natural energy flows that happen between them, living, breathing, happy system. We don't have that. We have this mess where literally our planets, our sun and our planets they have these connections where the black hole matrices interface directly through. I'm not going to explain all this heavily. I have done it in the past workshops. But it makes a mess out of the planets. Their axes are all at different ones. Science will even tell us that in a normal system, the north axis should be pointing up on all of the planets, right, and in a solar system, and the sun's axis would be pointing up as well, and there's a natural flow of energy between those aligned staffs. The staff is the one that runs vertically through a planetary body or through your own self, right? When you look at the planets, some of them spin on their side, some of them spin at an angle, some of them spin upside down. Earth is at a 23.429 or something degree angle off center of the natural alignment of our sun. It is a mess. The system is a mess, but it's characteristic of a false system. Next one, please. So it's kind of like, well, if we can remember that we're guardians that came here to help in the loadout, it's not so bad. If we just feel like we're little victims that sit on this planet and all of a sudden we see, oh my God, who did what to this, right? You could get scared, but we are guardian people. We've come, all of you, if you were here listening to any of this, you've come on a contract that you made before you came to serve as part of the loadout team, which is the evacuation team for the system, and also to help the systems that can still survive in Christic black hole fall, where they're given quantum of energy that will keep them from the space dust implosion, but they won't be able to get the full ascension codes back to go home intact. They would have to go space dust if they wanted to get all the way home to God. We've come to assist in this process, and it's a choice we've all made at some level, so it's not something that's inflicted on us. We chose to enter a false system in order to help, and that must be because somewhere in who we are, in our larger identity, we have the training in order to do that. So it's more of a matter of remembering who we are and the knowledge we carry and how to help in this drama. So it's not a drama to be frightened of. It's just a rather challenging work experience that we've chosen, right? All right, this is showing a bit up closer as far as the mess in relation to the Earth alignment, where our Earth is at its tilt. It's actually upside down. This is showing where the Van Allen radiation belts in our atmosphere are actually holding us in to the unnatural axis tilt. And this is all product of what is called the beast machine, the blank slate technology that is the Metatronic technology, that is black hole technology. That's what was used to make Atlantis and Lemuria disappear off our global map, which was done by something called sinkholes. And we'll see a little bit about what they're about in a little while. Next one, please. This is just showing the mess that our planet's grids are in as far as this poison apple magnetic fields. They're completely unnatural magnetic fields. These things that look like trumpets actually are vortices that pull in the frequencies from the black hole systems to progressively corrupt our Templar. So this is what has got us to this point where the planet is in peril. Yeah, CNN is doing this thing on Planet in Peril. They have no idea. Oh, man. Galaxy in peril, perhaps, right? But for most people, what good is it going to do to know this stuff anyway, right? Or, so we run around and all like max out our credit cards because the sky is falling? No. So whatever. Those who are supposed to know this level come to workshops where it's shown. And it's a particular caliber of guardian being that gets guidance to participate with knowing this type of stuff and walking around with it consciously. But this is more of the mess. I mean, we've analyzed every part of this in other workshops, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just reminding you of the sequence of things from the larger picture coming down to where we are. Next one, please. And then you keep going, okay, we know what safe zones are, but where are they on a planet that's in a solar system that's in a galaxy that looks like that, right? This is just reminding us of the different planes. If we have Earth and his body and the different planes going down to the core and different planes coming out, they're actually plane interfaces directly to Eartha and to Shala and to Ashale and to median Earth. Literally in our atmosphere, in the bands of our atmosphere. We've covered this. We call them the vertical maps. The vertical maps come off the spherical maps. If you take a cross section from here to here, mark the dots on each one up, you actually get a vertical stack of where what planes interface. And that's where we pulled the vertical maps from. Next one, please. These are the vertical maps as far as our atmosphere, just our local atmosphere. And it shows the different plane interfaces where there's actually what are called aurora platforms that connect directly into M31 at different layers in the atmosphere. And I'm just recapping the things that have led up to where we're going now, what we're going to learn about the planet now, and about what it means to be preparing to slide. So all of these things, we have a huge amount of data on the entire story, not to mention the history. I haven't even touched it, and I'm not going to now. But we've been telling the history for 10 years, and it's huge. The history is huge. How this happened, who did what, who's where. It all comes down to that chart that we looked at, the light body quotients, and the different gene lines, the basic 10 different gene types that are on the planet now. All that history culminates in that, and what that culminates in is a person's ability, how much light, Shalaya light do you hold, which comes down to can you go through an ascension passage or not, right? So it's all connected, all this information for 10 years that we've been given more and more and more, and it comes back down to where we are now, where we are learning directly how to open the slide gates so we can move into the next level where we can slide into median Earth, but also carry the host. We are the standard bearers of the host of the Christ on this planet, and there's not another team. We're almost like a SWAT team at this point. SWAT, SWAT, and then the FAs when they're trying to mess with us. Get off me, right? Like mosquitoes, right? So anyway, next one. This is also showing where the caduceus mess in our stargates on this planet are. Next one, please. That's just showing a caduceus mess as a Stargate on our planet. So we talked all about this, how they actually generate unnatural electricity, and that's all the electricity that we have to keep like digging stuff up out of the ground to burn in order to make it, that kind of thing. Our whole system is run, the whole system is run corrupt at this point. It's being run on anti-Christic technologies. It has been since Atlantis. That's not getting any better. And at least the green movement is funny. It is indeed green. It is definitely a green dragon movement, because they are hoping to get their sovereign fall, Christ fall, and they know they're going to have limited resources, and they have to start using resources more wisely, and that is part of the Christ fall teachings, that okay, you don't have the full live connections anymore. If you want this system to last, you've got to start taking care of stuff and respecting it. So that whole environmental movement is coming from the Green Dragon crews and some of the others that are planning to do the sovereign fall with them. So it is a good thing, actually. The green movement is absolutely essential. The Red Dragon and White Dragon crews are the ones who don't go to the environmental conferences and that they'll kill all the trees if they need to or dig up all the oil, and they're really thinking short-sighted. Just take as much as you can now and don't worry about the effects it causes. You can really see those two things represented in the politics in the United States, just between the Republicans and the Democrats. It's getting so ridiculously obvious between those two groups. It's almost funny. It's sad actually, but it's almost funny. Anyway, next one, please. Feed furiously? Yeah, that's kind of like the thing of the white and red dragons, like the motto, feed furiously on everything. Yeah, you can put that any direction, really. It looks pretty much the same no matter what you do with it. Yeah. The beginning of understanding safe zones and the Shield of Solomon and such things has to do with this pattern, all right? this pattern won't make sense just by looking at it, but it will once you see the context. This actually has to do with the Calloway chamber, which is it's the Calloway chamber in the front, and the Bardo chamber in the back. And again, the Bardo chamber is where the transcendental passage opens in a body or in a planetary body, and also with the other horizontal rod. So it's the rod and the chamber. And when we're looking at maps, right, a map is you have a globe, but if you had to flatten that globe out so you could look at it flat to see on a map, if that globe say if I was a sphere and I had one chamber coming this way through me, front, back, and another this way, and then you flatten that out, you'd see the 4 points where the front and the back and the two sides. You'd see east and west, and you'd see front and back, right? As well as the one going vertical up and down, right? But that would be like North Pole, South Pole effect. So these are actually going to be, these go on the maps where you can actually see where the rods and chambers are. Where is the front opening of the Calloway chamber in the front? Where is the back opening of the Bardo chamber of the planet on the back? Because that is where the transcendental passage will open. Where is real east and where is real west as far as the rod runs? And these things have a lot to do with the condition of the planet and what can be done and what can't be done here now, because there's a long history. Ever since the Amente rescue mission was started 550 million years ago, there have been about 5 points of major extinctions on this planet that our history tells us and our science books tell us. Every one of those corresponds with a period when there is warfare taking place here over control of the Templar through the rod and the rod and the staff, but mainly the rod. The rod has been split. What should be just one single set of chambers, one going this way, one going this way on the horizontal, and then of course the vertical. It has actually been split and portions of them put on different angles. So you have more than one set of the four horizontals. You have several sets of them. And this creates a problem as far as grids. So we'll look at how the basic, this is just having four of them, that's just the front and back and the east and west. And we'll see that where it fits on the map. And it's very specific as far as where they actually are. And then you'll see the ones that have been shifted and where they create openings into the fall systems, into the caduceus network. When we see those things, first of all, we can understand what sinkholes are a little bit. Second of all, we can understand a little bit more about what the Omega Kill Code agenda is about, what it's meant to do to this planet. We're supposed to be the sixth extinction, right? We had about 5 before. And, starting 550 million years ago, this started. And this was supposed to be the last one as far as the FA groups go. This was their final kill. And where our groups fit in this, because while we are on planet, we are holding the host, and because of the Shield of Solomon, which we'll see in a little bit, we are actually preventing the Omega Kill Code from fully activating in the grids. We're actually holding more frequency in to stop it from ripping the grids apart and the planet apart, so we can hold it back together. That can be done for 222 years until the Milky Way host closes. Then we have got to have everything out of here that can get out of here. All right, so we are in a massive drama that gets very personal when you bring it down to the rods and the chambers here. Next one, please. I'll go through a couple of these quickly, too, until I get to the main ones. This is a map that, and here, these aren't fully adjusted for Mercator yet, so you can just ignore the whatever they are, the horizontals going across. I always get longitude and latitude twisted. But these are literally coordinate maps where you can plot stuff. This map doesn't show the continents yet. It shows the plates. All right, so these are the plates of the crust of the Earth. Right? And it's showing where plates are moving apart from each other or moving toward each other. That's the little arrows are. Are they drifting away or toward each other? But these are the base configuration of the plates underneath the continents. On here, some of them would be above water where you would see the continents. Next one, please. Now again, just ignore the scale on the other side. It's not fully adjusted for Mercator yet, and that has to do with how you adjust on a sphere thing, all right, which gives you more accurate longitude, latitude stuff. Okay, this is showing where on the plate map, all the little dotted lines are where those plates are, right? This is showing where the continents are. There's America. Over here is Ireland and England and Spain, I think that is, Italy, right? You got Africa. You've got South America and Canada, all of that. And then you've got over here, China, Japan, Philippines, all that stuff. You got Australia down here somewhere. I'm starting to feel like Miss Impalum. thought Africa was like, I didn't know Africa was a country. No. Right. But this is, I'm being nice. So this is showing actually the Mississippi line. There's actually a beginning of a, what do they call those? It's sort of like a fault. It's reminiscent of the ridge in the Mid-Atlantic, the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. It's like a mini version of that, and it's around the Mississippi line. So what is it called? New Madrid, is that what they call this one? Yeah. So it's kind of funny. If America ever does split, you can pretty much guess where one of them is going to be, right? Down here is where we are now, down in Kitts, right? Down in this area. And the place we're going here in Florida is right down in this area of Florida. Somewhere over in here, and on the other maps I actually have it. You have the Cheylon, the Cheylon grids, which is one of these sentinels. You have another sentinel over here in Ireland. And we're going to look at these things in relation to these maps. Next one, please. The plates become important when it comes to the lighthouses, actually, knowing where the plate divisions are. This is just showing how this is literally a map that's not just like a hypothetical. It's actually done with longitude, latitude. This is not fully adjusted for Mercator, but where you can track longitude, latitude lines. So it's a practical map, not just like a hypothetical one. Next one, please. Alrighty. Now, this is showing, again, the one with the continents and the plates, right? The dotted lines are the plates. These little dots here are called harmonic convergence points. The harmonic convergence points are where 3 or more plates touch each other. All right, there's certain things harmonically that occur in the grids at places like that, where 3 or more of the plates touch. And there are certain forces who are actually using the twisted Metatronic grids to progressively create what would end up in destruction of this planet through activating them. When they did the harmonic convergence with the Metatronic crew, and I think what it was, 87 or whatever, they were playing on certain of these to get them to act certain ways following the Metatronic grid stuff. The Guardian groups also have like ways to work with those. In fact, those are the points where the what are called the lighthouses exist. They are power points on the grids. We can use them to hold the grids together just as much as the others can use it to try to rip them apart. And that's part of what the mission is going to be here for the next 222 years, is to try to help avert the excessive earth changes that could happen as far as quakes and all of that stuff that could happen as the Omega code that the others released in the grids continues to progress. We're actually going to just try to hold the grids together while the Omega code tries to rip them apart. Next one, please. We'll look at those again in a minute. Now, this one. This one is showing you the 1/3 median Earth and 1/6 net Earth link. I had mentioned before that the front, back, and side to side rods of the planet. Now, if you think of that, if you look up in this corner, that shows it a little bit better. If you got a sphere, right? You have a sphere. There is a front to the sphere. There is a back to the sphere. There is a left and right, or east and west to the sphere, as well as a top and a bottom. Now, we've taught for ages that, yes, there is a front of the sphere, and that has to do with the shield clocks, right? If you had a shield clock, like a plate inside here, where you have the 6th position that is in the front, just like when you learn to spin your Merkabas, you're standing on, you pretend you're standing on a clock, right? With 6 in the front and 12 in the back, 3 over here on the left, and 9 over here on the right. So that gives you an orientation of how the actual structures are when you're dealing with light body structures and everything. It applies to planets as well. There's a natural structure where the front should be, right? And that should be the 0 line. It should be where the Greenwich 0 line is. It isn't, right? This should be the rear, right? So in order to find where any of the actual configurations are on this planet, we had to go back and understand these things a bit first, because the planet is actually, it has a crust offset to the mantle. That was done actually, I think, 65 million years ago. That was when the dinosaurs got wiped out because a big asteroid hit down somewhere
in here, right around there in the Yucatan Peninsula, is where they attribute the last extinction to. That was not accidental. The dinosaurs were just kind of in the way from what the FAs were trying to do, and what they were trying to do was create a literal offset. They were shifting the rods and chambers again to try to pull the gates into the Metatronic configuration, and they split. They did a final split on the rods. And now what we have here is a normal configuration. I'm not showing the split yet or the offset. When you're looking at this, all right, the front of the sphere, right, that would be here. So that, and it's actually 158 east, right, 158 degrees east. That line is actually the front. That should be 0. Right, when you're doing, like the 0 going around to 180, so you can do your longitude and latitude stuff. This is the equator, right? This is the natural place where both part of net Earth, the part that we're on, and median Earth, that is front, that is where their front chamber comes out of the planetary body. That is still there and intact. 1/3 of the quantum of the whole Amente Earth is with the median Earth part of it, and 1/6, which is, if you broke median Earth into 3 pieces, 1 median Earth of state ascension, 1 that got blended. Half of that went to Caduceus, half of it became net. That's where we are. We are the 1/6, right? So if it's half of the 1/3, right? That was the blend Earth. And then there's another half, or not half, but another third that is fully fallen, and it's called the phantom matrix. It's fully aligned with the black holes, right? Now, when we're dealing with this, right now, we're fortunate because these rods and the rod is the one that goes left, right, and the chamber, they, on net Earth where we are, they still align with median Earth. What the Omega Code is meant to do is to completely change that permanently. So they're actually trying to use our rod to take median Earth out too, because they want the quantum. They're trying to pull it into a black hole, because black holes are kind of funny. Once you make one and your system is in one, you will find it's going to implode on itself and turn you to space dust if you don't keep feeding it. So you try to find ways and technologies to draw energy from other sources to keep feeding it, even if it means harnessing and killing other galaxies, which is what they're using the black hole technology to do. So this is our front, and that implies, right, that's our front. If you're coming around across the front of the globe, you'd run into a side first, right? So then one right next to it wouldn't be the back. It would be one of the sides. So if you're coming around this way, this would be if this was your front and you're standing like that, right, this would be this side, and that would be the east. So that's the natural east rod. Just so happens to be at 112 degrees west, right? So we got the east rod in the west. Then we come back over here, still coming around this way, right? Hit east. Now we have the rear one. That's the rear chamber. That's the chamber that the Transcendental Passage and the Bardo Passage that connects us to our past, to our actual rest of our light body, soul body structure, and the planet as well, is here. And that one is at 22 degrees west. And right around that, this back rod, that's where that rear chamber comes out. It also has the front chamber, that is the Calloway chamber that moves toward the future, but I didn't put that on because what we're looking at here for this discussion is where the Transcendental Passage opens. So if you were looking at this from behind, and you were looking at like looking at the back of the planet head on, that would be where the rear of the chamber would be, the Bardo chamber, and this would be the Transcendental Passage that opens around it. So this area and the areas it comes in, these would actually be on the surface, right, of the Earth. And then this would go into the Earth up to the center point, right? And up to the center point there. But that would be the end of the rear passage, and from this point forth, it would be the front passage, right? So this stuff, there's a whole tube that goes into the Earth's body, into the sphere, that runs here. These could be like dotted lines that are inside the grids, but this opening here is actually where the Transcendental Passage opens in the planetary grids. So we have the front chamber, the east rod, the rear chamber, And over here, I didn't highlight that one yet, but over here we've got the west rod. Just so happens to be at 68 degrees east, right? So the east and west, this is where the dyslexia is coming in. The more we're trying to come online with the natural orientation, it's like the brain doesn't know which set of signals to follow, literally. We'll get past that eventually, right? But the transition is a bit challenging because you're literally running two sets of frequencies. These are the natural places. This should be the 0 line. This should be the 180 line, right? This should be 90, and this should be 90. This should be 90 west, that should be 90 east. But what you have here instead is the caduceus alignment. The caduceus alignment has to do with when the rods were split. They were split in several stages during each of the last extinctions that started like 500 some million years ago, right after the 550 million years ago Amenti project started here. But there's been a split of the rods that where they were literally, the last one was where the crust was actually shifted upward using the rods by forcing the rods into a split frequency-wise. And this is heavy-duty scalar, black hole scalar technology, where you blast enough energy at something and you can make it split or you can make it move. And it's on a large scale. This is on a planetary scale, but that must be small beans compared to what they did to the center of the Milky Way galaxy. But they actually have split the rods and chambers and shifted them up onto this line, which is the Tropic of Cancer line, right? It's 23.439 degrees north of where they should be. And so there's another set of these that is running up here that are actually running and plugged into what are called the caduceus grids. So you have a portion of net Earth, 1/6 quantum of the entire Amenti Earth is in the net field here, and it's aligned with the median Earth field. And that's the only reason we still have the ability to open any of the ascension passages here. There's another portion of blended Earth. Net Earth is part of blended Earth because it's blended to the caduceus part that has the rods offsets, and that is actually at this point the dominating force on the planet. I mean, even all of our mathematics and the little C60 carbon atom that they run the atomic clock on from the Greenwich Meridian line, all of that is all plugged in. Our entire societies are being run by the Metatronic people. At this point, the green ones who actually started this technology ages and ages ago have had it hijacked by the Red White Dragon crews and are going to lose their grids. That's why they're turning over many of them to the Guardians at this point, finally, because they're going to be eaten alive and they're going to lose their sovereign fall potential. They won't even get the Earth. They're going to be dragged into the Wiesedrack matrix black hole system through the Procyon black hole at the center of our galaxy, of Milky Way galaxy. So all of a sudden they're becoming cooperative, which is really nice. Finally, I'll show you what they have done with the natural structure. These are still here, but you have 1/3 of the full Amenti quantum that belongs to median Earth, and 1/6 of that quantum also that belongs to net Earth. The caduceus set are trying to pull the net Earth ones in. Then you have another set that I don't even have the diagrams done for that correspond with the parts that have fell progressively. Another part of the rods that were split early that formed the phantom Earth systems. And there's another set of these, but the most important ones to deal with right now are the ones that we're working with as far as the ascension, and also the ones in the crust offset. We're literally mantle. If you had a gate that should be on the crust, should be in the same place as it is on the mantle. If you shift the mantle over, the crust over the mantle, you misalign gates. So you can align the crust with other things. And that's what was done. And so there is literally an offset between the crust and the mantle. But these still come out in the locations where they're showing. And these are locations, longitude, latitude, very specific spots. They still come out, and they are still holding the natural mantle positions. And these are still coming out on the surface there. But there's another set that are holding the offset. And I'll look at those next, I think. Please. The green ones, I made them green for green dragons and blue for blue dragons that aren't even dragons that work with the Christian teams, right? So if you look at this, we have the normal grid with the mantle, right? And it's front and rear and east and west, and it's vertical. Then you have this one. It's actually shifted up, right? Where they've literally rolled the crust upward out of alignment. And what that did was it split part of the energy off of the rods and chambers and brought it up to here, and that's where you get the Tropic of Cancer line, right? And they also not just shifted it up, but also shifted it over, right? This is the front, right, of the planet. They not only shifted up, but they shifted the front to an artificial front where they actually turned it all the way, 158 degrees really, back to here, where they made the zero line. That is the Greenwich line. All right, that's where there's the whole atomic clock and all of that stuff, and all of our navigational stuff is built on this longitude-latitude system, and all the electromagnetic grids and everything is built on this system. And the system is built on the caduceus rods, what are known as the caduceus rods, which is the split in the crust offset. They were meant to do something. They were meant to eat the other ones. They were meant to pull in, if these were activated in a certain way, see, rods and chambers spin, and if they were activated on reverse spin, they were meant to drag the net Earth, that's where we are, up and over, and then use the power of the two of those to go after median Earth. So they were actually trying to take out the whole Amente thing in this agenda when they created progressively. And this has taken millions of years for them to get to this point, for the FA groups to get to this point of doing this. We've been being invaded for a long time. We've been being invaded because of that relationship we have to M31, the Andromeda Galaxy. Because this planet could actually have made the difference because the gates went right through. We could have had, if it had worked, we could have pulled the entire Milky Way back into alignment with the Andromeda Galaxy, where it could have gone back in. And at this point, that's not going to happen. Some of it can be pulled back in on the host, but it's going to go into fall. The whole mission was much bigger than just the smaller Amente mission. It was a much larger one of trying to get the Milky Way back into M31, where it fell from. All right, so this is just showing the blue ones are ours, and we are still holding, net Earth still is holding in alignment with the median Earth ones, which run the equator line. They run on the equator. And then the caduceus ones run on the Tropic of Cancer line up here. And they're meant to be activated and to spin and to drag these up and over into it, which would pull the mantle into alignment in reverse spin in order to take the grids out and literally pull median Earth down in to fall. That's not going to be allowed to happen, and median Earth will still remain, and we are going to be able to move portions of our grids here into median Earth in order to get them out of the caduceus fall. The ones that go caduceus fall at this point, as long as the Greens who have entered the Treaty of Albion behave and act nicely to the Budhara who are already fallen, but they're a Christ fallen matrix. They use Christ principles to run their fall matrix. They are in charge. They're holding the host at this point for the Green Dragons, and if the Green Dragons don't listen, they'll just say fine, and they'll cut the energy ties, and then the rest will fall into red and white dragon hands, and the Greens will be even more unhappy. So that's a drama we're not going to have to watch a lot of, but we're going to see some of while we're still on the planet. Probably a war between the red-white team and the green team, and if we possibly can, we'll stay out of that as much as possible, right? So it's about the rods, it's about a lot more, but right now we're dealing with the issues of the rods, and they're activating. When the Omega code was activated,